Hi guys, my name is Courtney and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my monthly reading wrap-up. I started doing these journal with me reading wrap-ups about a month and a half ago. I say month and a half because in December I tried it out and then in January I did a full video like that. And so yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying out this year. So let's talk about the books I read this month. First off, I'm doing just a spread page with a couple of books that I just wanted to do a couple little notes on. I didn't want to do full pages for these books for whatever reason, just didn't have a lot of thoughts for them or feelings, I guess, more than like my Goodreads opinions. So I just did a little snapshot kind of page with just like little notes on them. So the first book I want to talk about is We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Berry. This was the first book I read in January, the first book I read in 2021. It is a book set in the 80s and it is about a field hockey team that does witchcraft. They live close to Salem and I was really anticipating it. I thought it was going to be the perfect book for me. It ended up just being a middle of the road book. I really liked the we perspective so that we got all the characters. I really liked a lot of the characters and like what was going on with their stories, but I wanted more witchcraft. I wanted more of the games, and sometimes it was just a little bit of a slog to read, so I liked it, but I didn't love it. I gave We Ride Upon Sticks like 3.75 stars. Really good, but just couldn't make a 4-star for me. The next book we have is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the fourth and final book in the Ember and the Ashes series. I've been reading Ember and the Ashes since it came out. I've always found it to be an okay YA series, but personally for me it just was never my favorite. Basically, the Ember and the Ashes is like a Roman/Persian inspired fantasy setting. There's some magic, but most of the magic has kind of disappeared from the world, and it is a very militia-heavy, military-heavy society where there's a lot of oppression. And then we have 3 main characters that have perspectives in this novel. The reason why I don't love these novels is because they are more plot-focused than character-focused. The characters are really strong in this series too, but I think the plot is the big factor. There's a lot of plot twists, a lot of surprises. It's really focused on that hook energy, and I prefer more character-driven fantasy, but the characters are decently strong as well. My favorite character is Helene. Oh my gosh, I just love her storyline and just what happened with her. She grew so much throughout the series, and I really loved how she connected to the 2 main characters by the end of the novel. And so yeah, it's an okay fantasy series, but it's not my favorite by far. And this final book, it was good. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this finale, but for me it was like a 3-star, a middle of the road. The next book we have on here is I'm Still Here by Austen Channing Brown. It's an essay collection / memoir, I would say, and it is about the author Austen Channing Brown and kind of her experience growing up as Black. It's a lot about her growing up and learning things in conjunction to like whiteness and just like day-to-day problems that she's come across with like racism and being Black. I really liked this memoir. It was really interesting and really well written. I really liked a lot of what she had to say, and I think it's a really valuable source. The author is Christian and she's very religious. For the most part, that doesn't really tinge on the novel, but there are a couple chapters that end with kind of a soliloquy talking about Christianity and being like a good Christian. I know not everybody is comfortable reading about Christianity and religion in that way, so I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that. It doesn't impede too much on the novel, but I just wanted to make sure that people knew that it was there. It is a big influence in her life. I think she works for nonprofits, or she has worked for nonprofits for churches, but overall it's a really great memoir and it has a lot of really good things to say, and I would highly recommend it. I gave that book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then the final book I'm going to talk about in this little notes section is Across the Green Grass Fields by Shauna McGuire. Across the Green Grass Fields is a fantasy novel in the Wayward Children series. It is the 6th book in the series, and it's kind of a departure from the main plot line of the books, and it's just following one girl into her fantasy world, her portal world, and just kind of explaining her life. Yeah, it's really cute. She's like a horse girl, so she goes to a horse land. It wasn't my favorite novel, but I really liked what this one had to say. She struggles a lot with like high school bullying and cliques, and she learns that she is intersex, and that kind of affects some of her story and how she thinks of herself. And I really liked that inclusion of that diversity. I felt like it was important to the message, important to the themes, but the identity didn't take over the plot, and I think that's really important because because I don't believe that Shauna Maguire is own voices. The way that she used the intersex identity was well done. I personally don't know because I'm not intersex, and I would definitely look into own voices reviews, but for me, it works really well. And then getting into my full spread pages, this first page is going to be dedicated to A Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry by C.M. Wagner. This is a standalone companion book. It is an adult fantasy book. It is following this young woman, Deli, who becomes a bodyguard, and during that mission as a bodyguard, she meets one of the other bodyguards and they fall in love, and they go on this other adventure heist revenge story. I don't want to say too much because I am actually working on a review for this book. It should be coming out next week, if not later this week. I really enjoyed this book. It was like a 3.5 star read for me, so it wasn't perfect, but I did really enjoy it. And yeah, I have a whole review talking about it, and so I definitely would recommend looking into that, as well as a Goodreads review. I wrote a very long, very detailed Goodreads review about my experience reading this book if you want to follow me on Goodreads, if that's where you're comfortable reading reviews. This was an okay book. It wasn't perfect, and I highly recommend looking into my review if you want to know exactly why I felt that way. So my next spread is dedicated to The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I first read The Road when I was 15 years old in high school. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and it was one of our required reading for summer reading. We had a long list of books that we could pick from, and this was one of the books, and it's the one I chose. It's a post-apocalyptic novel about a father and a son, and basically just trying to survive this horrible, horrendous world. The book is very graphic. There's cannibalism, there's just like people being horrendous, and it is a very disturbing novel, but you know, it really did stick with me for the 10 years since I've read this book. Like, I remembered a lot of details and a lot about this book, which I wasn't expecting. And so reading it again was just really interesting and really enlightening, I guess, just to see it from an adult perspective and how I think about the book now. I gave this book 4 stars. I think it's a really solid read. It really has held up. I really like it, but it's just like not a favorite book of all time for me. And if you want to hear some more like in the moment thoughts about The Road, I actually am working on a 24-hour reading vlog of me reading The Road, and I think I read a couple other books that are featured in this as well. So definitely look forward to that if you like vlogs. But The Road, 4 out of 5 stars. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really have a good time just chatting through these books in this fashion, and I really have a fun time journaling. I really like to push myself creatively like this. I just don't think about putting my own thoughts down. I personally am not a big journaler, so this is really fun to do every month for me, to just discuss the books and to write things down about the books, and I really do have fun doing it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later, and happy reading.